disappeared. So we're on page 141. Page 141, and we're learning about the balance between bitachon and hishtadlus. That on one hand we have to trust in Hashem, that all of our livelihood comes from Hashem. But on the other hand, Hashem made the world in such a way that we have to put in effort. We have to go out and work, make a living. But we talked about last week that the challenge of that is even though we're putting in the physical efforts, we have to recognize that our success ultimately comes from Hashem and not from our own efforts. So now the Baal Chovos Halvavos is going to continue explaining that idea for other areas of income. He's going to talk about two areas of income. One area of income is what I need to survive, and then there's the extra. We have a right to. We're going to see that we don't have to. He quotes here on the bottom, if you look at the note on page 143 from the Pas Lechem, that God doesn't expect us, if we're not able to just eat bread and salt for every meal and sleep on the floor and live in a hut. We're allowed to have some comforts in life. So now he's going to talk about that type of income. A person's possessions. For the way he gets a livelihood. His different ways of making money, like he says here, commerce or craft. Maybe he's a delivery person. Maybe he works for Uber Eats. Uminoi, he has a appointment. Uschiros, he rents things. Upkidos, vavodas hamalacha, maybe he works for the government. Not such a great profession to be in right now. Because baros, or he works for the maybe like the banks or something. V'kablanos, or he's like a carpenter. He's someone who gets paid to do a certain job. V'amano v'sifros, or an accountant, or someone who umini avodos. V'amano v'sichos umini avodos. V'alichos hamidbaros v'ayamim, or somebody who contracts on credit, or somebody who writes, does other types of services, or somebody who does long journeys for people, or similar to this, whatever he does to acquire wealth, and to get the little extras in life. That when it comes to these matters, we talked about earlier that a person should engage in a job that Hashem gives all of us special talents and a special, we'll say netiya. We all have different personalities and different likings to different types of professions. A person should engage in that type of profession that Hashem gave that person those types of inclinations so that he would engage in that type of profession, if he can. And a person should engage in that type of profession, for the extent that it suffices for what he needs for his food, so they can get what he needs from the world. Now let's say Hashem decided that he should do well in his profession. He should make a little extra money, so maybe he could take a vacation. That's going to happen. He's going to get the extras, whether he puts in the extra effort or not. Meaning that's all coming from Hashem. Whether Hashem is going to give you, have your boss give you the bonus so that you could take a nice vacation, that's all from Hashem. He says you shouldn't go crazy. You shouldn't go and increase your work time, and not rely on that to get these extras. So you don't have to have that side hustle or the selling on Amazon if you already have a profession because you want extras. Hashem is going to give you the extras whether you work harder for them or not. And let's say Hashem doesn't want you to have more than the basics, right? We talked about earlier how Hashem promises every person he's going to have the basics to survive. What he doesn't promise us is if we're going to have the extras, right? That Hashem decides. If Hashem wants us to have the extras, we're going to have them even if we don't work more. But if Hashem decides he doesn't want us to have extra, then we're not going to have them no matter how much we work. We could work as hard as we want, but if Hashem doesn't want us to make extra money, it's not going to happen. But nothing we could do could help. When a person trusts in Hashem, he'll be calm. He'll be a calm person. He'll have a certain serenity in his life. When a person lives with the recognition, obviously this is easier said than done to actually live like this. But when we live with the recognition that everything that we're going to have when it comes to monetary matters is from Hashem, then you could live a life of serenity and peace, because you're saying, maybe I want to have this nice vacation, so I should work a little harder, and I should get this, start doing X, Y, Z, and stay up all night to have my third job. She says Hashem doesn't want us to do that. We should just trust in Hashem that the extras will come from Hashem. If He wants us to have it, we're going to have it, and if not, we're not going to have it. It's also, in addition to this, we have to remember, sometimes we forget, that life is a zero-sum game. That if we're putting in more effort at work, more time in work, we're taking out time for other things, like family and learning and avodas Hashem. There's a story with a gadol, I forgot who it was, but he lived in a very, very plain house. Very plain house, like not such great wallpaper and things like that. It might have been the Habitachon, but I don't know if the story was with him. And so someone said to him, like, why don't you have a nicer wallpaper and a nicer house? Like redo your house. Hire a contractor, get a nicer house. He says that wallpaper, that's like Mesechus Avodah Zarah, and getting that, that's Mesechus Bava Kama. And if I redo that, that's Mesechus Bava Metzia. The point he was making was that life is a zero-sum game. If he would put in effort to make more money, that would be less Mesechtas that he could learn, and less learning time he would be able to put in. And to him, it was worth it to have a less nice-looking house in order that he had a better understanding of the Talmud. Now, not everyone's at that level where they could live in a dilapidated house, but a nice-looking house. But we're all, whatever level we're at, maybe we need a little more just to be psychologically calm and whatever it is. But it's the job of every Jew to be honest with ourselves that whatever level we're on, as much as we emphasize and put efforts at the amount of time we're working, that's taking away from something else because it's a zero-sum game. There's another story about, this is Rav Aaron Leib Steinman, who's a Gadol Hador, lived in Bnei Brak. And Bnei Brak is a very religious town where most people spend their time studying Torah all day. And there was one guy, he got a very fancy car, and his wife was worried that people would be very jealous of him because he bought this fancy car. She's like, how can you do this? You can't. That was a Cadillac, Mercedes, whatever it was. How could you, compared to Bnei Brak, Manhattan, that's not such a fancy car, a Cadillac and Mercedes. But in Bnei Brak, that was a very fancy car. So she was very upset, like, how could you do this? The neighbor's going to be jealous of us that we have money and da-da-da. So she took him to Rav Aaron Leib Steinman, and he says to the husband, you bought this car, what's the issue? And the wife says, well, I'm worried that people are going to be jealous of us. So Rav Aaron Leib said to him, well, how many times have you finished Shas? How many times have you finished the Talmud? He said, I've never finished the Talmud. And then he said, well, how many Siddharim have you finished? How many sections of the Talmud have you finished? He said, I never did that. And how many Masechtas have you finished? It was very few, or if you even finished the Masechta. So Rav Aaron Leib said, don't worry, no one's going to be jealous of you. That over there, the value system is so different, that prestige is measured in how much Torah you know, and not in physical possessions. Another quick story with him. My Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Aaron Feldman, he lived in Bnei Brak for many years, and he had a white beard. His beard was totally white before his brother, who's older. His beard was still black, even though his older brother, he was older, but his beard made him look younger. So once he took his brother. He was a rabbi in Atlanta for many years. So my Rosh Yeshiva took his brother and introduced him to Rav Aaron Leib Steinman. And he said, Rabbi, this is my older brother. He says, older brother? He looks younger. And so his brother, Rabbi Emanuel Feldman, said, oh, thank you for the compliment. And he walked away. Later on in the evening, Rav Aaron Leib came to my Rosh Yeshiva and said, tell me, your brother said I gave him a compliment. What was the compliment? So my Rosh Yeshiva had explained. He said, oh, in America, it's a compliment to say that you look younger. So he didn't even, to him, why would that be a compliment that someone looks younger? When you're older, you have wisdom, you've done more service of Hashem, you've learned more. To him, that's a compliment to look older. The culture is so different that he didn't even understand that in America it's a compliment to say that people look younger. Okay. Okay, I think we'll stop here, and then next time we're going to go, he's going to talk about people that have a lot of money, wealthy people, and he's going to discuss next time the mistakes that wealthy people make. Just to end up with a quick line about that, the Stifler said that he's very happy that he's poor, because if he was wealthy, he wouldn't be able to sleep, because he wouldn't know if he's using his money in the right way, meaning should I be giving tzedakah to this person, to that person. So he said he's very happy he's poor. But next week we're going to learn about the pitfalls of being wealthy and the dangers that could happen.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Is there a discussion about